We're back covering things only original Minecraft players remember. Let me tell you, you are not an OG if you don't remember the first damage sound. If there's one iconic part of OG Minecraft left on the internet, it has to be the original damage sound. Back in the day, if you were hit by something or lost any kind of hearts, then it would play this. But something we all want back is the machine gun bow. In regular Minecraft, if you have a bow, you have to stretch back the string and let it go, and boom, now you've shot your arrow. But back in the OG days, bows didn't have durability, and they were on the overpowered side. I mean, dude, you could just run up to any mob and gun them down with your AK-47 bow. There was no animation, it was kind of funny. And then you would just pick up like your 100 arrows and move on. I mean, I kind of miss this, to be honest. But not as much as I miss the sword block. There was one mechanic in Minecraft that just felt natural for us back in the early days. You used to have a sword, and that was it. There was no secondary hand slot. And with this sword, you could hold right-click to block attacks coming your way. It was actually really convenient. Now you need a shield if you want to block attacks. Pretty annoying, but, you know, understandable why they did it. Something that we are glad isn't in the game anymore, though, are no beds or spawn points. As an OG player, you might remember the painstaking time when beds weren't in Minecraft. There was literally no way to set a spawn point, and so if you died, you would respawn at the same place you started your world. And also, because beds weren't in the game, you couldn't skip nighttime. Something even OG players might have forgotten about, though, was the old creeper mechanics. Yeah, creepers used to be even worse than they are today. You never used to be able to scare them away with your cats, and they were a lot dumber. They would just walk into walls to try and get to you, and this almost always resulted in them just waiting outside your window for you to leave. It was so creepy. But everyone who played Minecraft years ago has to remember the OG TNT. In 2021, if you want to detonate some TNT, you have to place it down and activate it with redstone. Basically, a lever, redstone torch, or any kind of power will do. Or you can simply use a flint and steel to ignite it, but not for veteran Minecraft players. We had it way too easy. Years ago, TNT was yes powered by redstone, but it didn't really matter because all you had to do was punch the TNT block to ignite it. It was so much easier, but at the same time, we kind of always blew ourselves up by accident a lot. And speaking of punching things, OG Minecraft also had sheep abuse. One of the key parts of Minecraft is making a sheep farm, so you have plenty of wool. Back in the early days of the game, it was the same, except sheep acted a lot differently. Instead of having to craft a shear to gather wool from your flock, the only way to get wool back then was just to punch the sheep. We would sit there for so long abusing every sheep we could find, and they would just drop tons of wool for us to collect. I mean, it was kind of crazy, but also a little morbid. And one of the worst parts about Minecraft back in the day was the fire spread. And let me tell you, the old fire spread mechanics were literally insane. If you were just minding your own business and then lightning struck in the nearby area, well, the fire would spread and burn down the whole forest by the end of the night. And the rain didn't even extinguish fires at this point, so you were just done for. I mean, people literally lost their entire bases overnight because of how bad this fire spread was. Now, luckily, Mojang nerfed it, but many other great changes have been made to Minecraft in this time, like fixing the old food mechanics. Sure, fire spread was bad, but Minecraft used to have some of the most frustrating food mechanics out there. For some odd reason, Mojang didn't let us stack food, so we would literally need to fill up chests just to keep our food stored. It was ridiculous. But if you remember back then, we didn't even have a hunger bar. It was just the hearts, and eating food would restore it. And another thing that really annoyed us, though, was when crops would get destroyed by walking on them. Literally, who remembers when it was like walking on eggshells every time you even went near your farms in the old days of Minecraft? You would literally just walk over a few crops and they would be completely destroyed, no ifs or buts. It made building a farm so much more difficult. I think it's safe to say we were all glad that this was eventually fixed. But what was even more awful was the OG boats. If you even tried Minecraft a few years ago, you almost definitely remember just how bad the old boats were. I mean, they were horrible. You would literally have to get tons of boats prepared for a single journey because the second they hit any block in the area, they would just shatter to sticks of wood. It was an absolute nightmare. They were so slow, super hard to steer. I mean, it was a disaster. But thankfully, boats are much more relaxing now, and one boat can last you a lifetime. What OG players might not remember, though, are the old chests. So we all know that chests work differently to regular blocks. They have their own animations, and they just look different. But they originally used to look like this. So yeah, just seeing this might give a lot of veteran players some nostalgia. They had no animations and were just super simple, and I kind of miss this. But I definitely don't miss leaf decay. Okay, there's a lot we take for granted in Minecraft right now. One of those is leaf decay. If we chop down trees, eventually the leaves will wither away and save us a lot of time, but they never used to do this. Back in old Minecraft, we had to break every single piece of leaf on a tree, and it became a lot of work really quick, so luckily the game does it for us now. But I think it's safe to say one of the most broken things in Minecraft history was crafting enchanted golden apples. Yeah, years ago, enchanted golden apples weren't the rarest pieces of food that everyone rushed to find. They were still as overpowered as they are now, but there was one problem. Instead of having to find them in chests, you were actually able to just straight up craft them. 1 apple and 8 gold blocks and you had yourself a notch apple there and then. It was super broken. But only the most OG Minecraft players will remember boosters. We never had powered rails like a decade ago, so the community came up with a 200 IQ solution to boosting minecarts along a track. People abused the bug by building a boost track right next to the existing rails, and it would make 2 minecarts rub against each other, forcing the other one to get accelerated. It was so genius and everyone was using it at the time. What really made a difference though was the green grass. You have to understand, in the alpha of Minecraft, there were no biomes at all. The entire map was just green plain grass, and to be honest, that's all we needed at the time. The game was pretty simple, but since then the grass has gotten a lot less greener, and obviously biomes have completely taken over the game. So if you ever see this type of grass, it is probably alpha gameplay. And that's if we ever had a chance to actually admire the view before nighttime came around, because old Minecraft had an iconic day and night cycle. Like I said, alpha Minecraft's night cycle was literally terrifying. It felt like nighttime was a true villain in the game, and because there were no beds, we were rushing every single day to try and get as much done before the sun went down. Not to mention, Minecraft's nights back then were super dark. You could barely see anything without torches, so we'd often just rush back to our houses when the sun went down and, I don't know, stare off into the dark night. Days didn't last long, but nights felt like they lasted forever, because all we could do was shiver in our houses waiting for sunrise, or, I don't know, be brave and go out to fight the creatures outside. I do gotta admit, looking back, it was kinda awesome, and so were the achievements. Nowadays, we have the advancement system in Minecraft, where you can complete challenges and mark it off your checklist, but a few years ago, they were called achievements instead. The differences between the two are pretty subtle, but the old achievement system gives us a little bit of nostalgia. And what was really funny though was that Minecraft had no death animation. Okay, there were some weird things about old Minecraft that we all just considered normal at the time, but looking back on it, it seems that players just never had a death animation back then. We just died, drop all of our loot, and just disappeared into existence. It's nowhere near as iconic as the death animation now. But you must have been playing for a long time if you remember the OG skeletons and zombies. Okay, safe to say, one of the most useless items in all of Minecraft is rotten flesh. They're pretty much only good for healing up your wolves, but zombies never used to be this pointless. They actually would drop feathers a few years ago, and obviously you could use feathers for way more things than those stacks of rotten flesh you've been collecting. On the other hand, skeletons were a lot more pathetic back in early Minecraft. You could be at point blank range and they would still miss you with their bow. Now they pretty much have aimbot unless you have a shield or can zigzag. Another thing you might not know is that villages were added before villagers. In the early days, Mojang added villages into Minecraft before they actually added the villager mob. This meant that back then we could be exploring and come across this huge village, but it would be completely abandoned. I gotta admit, it was kind of creepy and made Minecraft feel like some kind of post-apocalyptic horror game. Despite this, we were all way more frustrated with sprinting. If you played during the alpha or even early beta Minecraft, you will remember how painstaking it was to go anywhere. There wasn't even a sprint button in the game until 2011, so getting from one place to another took forever. Steve would just walk at a leisurely pace. It was so annoying. Yet I have to show you the OG Minecraft logo. Back in the beta, Minecraft's logo wasn't the one we know and love today. It was actually the word Minecraft spelled out in stone blocks. Yeah, it looked like a super DIY logo, but, you know, also kind of cute. I mean, we all love seeing the history of the logo like this, especially when you realize that there was an unused version of the logo that looks like this. Gotta say, it's even more adorable than the beta version. Then we have the classic Minecraft logo that everyone knows and remembers. Something we really wish we didn't remember though was Rana. Rana was a mob that existed in the in-depth version of Minecraft all the way back in 2009, and she wasn't in the game for long, but she used to drop apples and roses when you killed her. She would also wear a frog hat. This was back before Minecraft was ever popular and was one of the earliest versions of the game. So if you remember this, you are one of the most OG Minecraft players of all time. For us who started playing in the beta though, we will remember ladder climbing. Okay, there's a trick that every single Minecraft player did a few years ago, and it saves so much time and resources. Basically, you could leave a 1-block gap between your ladders and you still be able to climb up. It was one of the best tricks in the book, but Mojang eventually removed it. What was really weird though was the brick pyramids. These were only in the game back in InfDev in 2010, so again, you gotta be pretty OG to know about these. But brick pyramids would just spawn sometimes, and there was absolutely nothing in them. They weren't hollow, and they're also the only way to get bricks back then, so you had to destroy the entire pyramid if you wanted to collect as many bricks as possible. But going from InfDev to beta, we have the 5-world limit. When you create a new world in Minecraft, you have a lot of settings and options to choose from in 2021. But back in the beta version of Minecraft, you had just a list of 5 worlds you could make, and you couldn't even name them. So good luck figuring out which one you want to delete if you need to make room for a new world. It was pretty annoying. And while we're speaking of settings and options, then one of the most iconic OG features of Minecraft was the super secret settings. And these are amazing. It was just a random button in the settings menu, and when you pressed it, your entire screen would change. There are a ton of different effects and trippy shaders that it would cycle through, but there's one big problem with it, which is if you were trying to find a setting, we'd accidentally just click on the super secret button, and we were pretty much done for at that point. And so by far, the biggest thing that OG Minecrafters remember is that Minecraft never used to help. help. Sometimes being a veteran Minecraft player makes you feel like you're saying back goodbye day a lot, but when it comes to old Minecraft, it really didn't like to hold our hand. It used to be that we had zero help with anything. You were just thrown into the game and expected to know how to play. When you look at items in your inventory, it would never tell you what the block or item actually was, so you kind of had to guess what you were looking at, and sometimes you were terribly wrong. We also never had a list of recipes in game, so everything was trial and error or having to Google recipes just to figure out what to even do. It was crazy. Even in the early days, we didn't have achievements, so it was really just a pure sandbox. There was no end, the nether was pretty dry for content, and we were just left to explore the world and build our own life in it. It was nice and simple, but hey, there's a lot more stuff to do now. And those are 30 things only OGs remember in Minecraft. Hope you guys enjoyed. It's been Tommy. Keep it here on T5G.